Hey everyone, you are watching JavaScript for Beginners Lesson 7. So what exactly are loops? Loops are meant to repeat certain parts of the code n number of times. Let's say that we have a particular code which we want to be repeated n number of times, and you can simply use the loops to achieve that instead of writing the same code many number of times. And there are three loops which we use on a daily basis while we building projects. And the first one is while loop, followed by do while and for loop. Now let's see what while loop is. The while loop usually have a syntax which follows the rules something like this. While condition, and within curly braces you have to write some code plus increment or decrement the value, and this is the usual syntax for while loop. Now let's simply write a small code in order to repeat a certain value many number of times. Now let's say that we have a variable a set to 5, and let's assume that we want the next 5 values after 5. And now let's simply use the logic of while loop, while, and within the bracket we have to use the conditions. Now let's say that a must be less than 10, and we need to open the curly braces, and let's write some code which simply logs the a. And now let's simply increment this value. As you can see here, we just got the next 5 values starting from 5. So this is exactly how while loop works. Let's say if you forgot to increase the variable user in the condition, which is this particular line of code, increment or decrementing the value, which will lead to the loop which will never end. So this will simply crash your browser. So you have to make sure that you increment or decrement the value in order to satisfy the condition which is being put in the bracket. So we just completed the while loop. Now let's simply move to the do while loop. So what exactly is do while loop? It's basically similar to the while loop, whereas the loop here will be executed first and the condition will be tackled later down the road. Let me just show you a quick example. Let a equal to, let's say let b equal to 5. Now let's simply use the do while loop. Do, let's simply log this b to the console, and now let's simply increment this value followed by the while condition. Now let's simply say that b must be greater than 10, which is as same as this one. Now let me just add a quick do while loop, and let's say this as while loop. As you can see here, this is the output of the while loop followed by the output of the do while loop. We can achieve the same result by using this, two different loops. So this is exactly how do while works. It's simply the do what you need to be done, followed by the curly braces and some code plus increment or decrement the value, and followed by the while condition. This is exactly the syntax for do while loop. Now let's simply move to the last but the most important loop in JavaScript, which is nothing but for loop. So what exactly is for loop? It simply consists all the conditions, increment, initialization at a single place. It simply saves time rather than using the do while or while loop. As I said before, it basically does the increment, initialization, condition at a one single place. Let me just quickly show you the syntax for initialization. Ignore the spelling. Initialization, condition followed by increment or decrementing the value. And within the curly braces we have to write some code which we want them to be repeated many number of times. So this is the basic syntax for loop. Now let's simply use the for loop and achieve the same results. Let me just add the console for loop. Now let's simply use the for loop. Let c is equal to 5, c less than 10, followed by c plus plus. As you can see here, we just did the declaration, condition, and incrementing the value at a one single place. Now let's simply log the C to the console and let's check the output. As you can see here, we just got the same output. So you can use any loops in order to achieve the same results, but I highly recommend using for loop since it involves 3 steps at a one single place and it basically saves our time. And these are the 3 loops which you need to remember in JavaScript. And that's it for this video. See you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.